In this video, we're going to cover unpacking, setting up, running a session, and tearing down and repacking a 360 video booth. So this is the travel case that the 360 booth is in. This is an 80 cm platform, which means that it can hold 4 to 5 people. Let's go ahead and open this up. And you'll see in here that we've got the actual platform itself. We have a box with the ring light. We have a pouch here that contains all sorts of cables that'll be needed, and there's also the various arms that are needed in here as well. So we'll go ahead and start taking everything out. Okay, so this arm right here is going to go on the very bottom, and you'll see that shortly. Notice that you have to kind of wiggle stuff around because of how the booth sits in here. Okay, so that's every loose piece that would be inside here. So now we're ready to go ahead and take the actual 360 booth out. Now, this is heavy, so when taking it out, you do have to be a little bit careful. I'm just going to start on one side and lift it up. And as long as you get this part like this, where this piece is still inside and this is outside, then you can just go ahead and lift it out. And then we'll sit down. Now, before you do anything else, go ahead and stand on it and see if there's any play, any wiggle. If there is, as you can see a little bit here, then your surface is not level. And as most of us know, not every floor is perfectly level, even though people say it is. So there are feet here, and you can adjust these. And I just go around, and I do every single one to make sure that it is level. And you'll notice that depending on how the floor is, some of these may not even move, and that's perfectly fine. This side, got that one already, and this will be the last one. So now we've done that, get back on here, very little play, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is go into our pouch here, and I'm just going to lay out what we need on here itself. Okay, so M6 screws. This is our AC adapter, our remote for controlling the LED light, stand for the tablet that'll be attached, the remote to control the motor, and our M8 screws. There's a few other things in here like a screwdriver in case it's needed, but we keep that in here. So now that we've laid all that out, we're going to assemble the arm. Okay, so this is going to be the first piece right here, and we need to look under here and find out where that arm is that it's attached to. So you can see that it's right here. This is the motor, so I'm going to just push it to where I can bring it over to where I am. You'll notice on here there's 2 holes here and 2 holes here, and that's going to match in here. So we'll go ahead and insert this, get those holes matched up, and you're going to use the M8 screws. Now, on these screws, you should have 2 left over in the bag, So you're going to be using 8 of them. So we'll go ahead and we'll put one in here. Yep. If I can get it in there. Okay, so I've got the first one in. I'm going to do the one on the opposite side of this as well. Okay, and then I'm going to grab another 2, and we're going to do this one back here on both sides. Okay, once you've got all 4 in, then go ahead and tighten them down. I keep them loose until all 4 are in. Okay, next is going to be our arm. So when attaching this, the bent part is going to be towards the bottom. This right here is the holder for the power bank. That power bank is going to have the tablet and the ring light plugged into it so that they can constantly be powered. So you're just going to kind of put your fingers in and spread this apart a little bit so you can insert this in, and then make sure that you've got, once it's all the way in, that you line up this bottom hole. Go ahead and do 1 screw on this side. And remember, don't tighten it all the way just yet. Then you're going to do the next one on this side. Okay, still keep it loose. Now you got to position this arm. So right now, if you look at it and you put this in, it's not going to work, right? So we've got to bring this back. And I usually put it about right here, which is the second to last hole, right there. So you're going to use the last 2 M8 screws, and you're going to put this in that position. And remember, don't secure these or tighten these until all of them are in. Now that they're all in, I'll go ahead and tighten them. Okay. Now, the next one is going to be this piece right here. Now, for the rest of this process, you're going to use the M6 screws. And again, you'll be using 8 screws. You have 2 extras in there. So we'll put those aside. And go ahead and grab 2 of them. Go ahead and insert. And again, line up those holes. Put them in, but don't fully tighten. Okay, now I'll do the other side. Okay, now that they're all in, I'll tighten them. Okay, and then the last piece for assembling the arm is this rod right here. Okay, now you're going to see that there is a screw at the very top, right there. So you want to make sure that that's the part that doesn't go down in here. So we'll go ahead and slide this in. Okay. And I'm going to take it all the way down to right there. So get those holes lined up. Do the other side. Okay, and tighten them up. Okay, now one thing that I do once this is done is just to move the arm around, make sure it's okay, which looks like it is. So now we can go ahead and get our tablet mount and our ring light. Okay, so I'm going to do the ring light first. And you're basically just going to screw it on. All right, and then you'll also want to loosen this and then just make sure that you've got the ring light kind of pointing this way a little bit at an angle, and then tighten it up, okay? Now, take our tablet mount, and I'll loosen this up, put it right there, and then we're going to screw this on. Once you've got it screwed on, go ahead and tighten it back up to where the mount sits facing outward. Okay, and then we are going to take our tablet, which we are utilizing an iPad Mini 6. You want the screen to face outward towards you. Reason being is that we're going to use the rear camera on this. Rear camera is going to have better quality compared to the front camera. Now, you may have seen other 360 booth operators use an iPhone and have the iPhone pointed at the guest. Yes, you can do that, but we don't. And the reason why is with this facing outward, one, since we have to control the arm ourselves and time it with the software, we can see when it's done recording, but then two, we're not allowing guests in the booth to do sharing, meaning AirDrop or texting to themselves from this tablet. We actually have a sharing station set up over here on the side, and that tablet is where they will go once they're done in the booth to get their video. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and size this down for a second. So there are two tabs, top and bottom, in the back here. And if you push that, then you can see that one, you can move the arm back and forth. And you'll want to do that once you get the tablet in to make sure it's centered. And then on this piece right here, right behind it, is a button that you can push in, and that's going to slide this piece in to help secure the tablet. So I'm going to push this back out for a second. And we're going to go ahead and get our tablet in there, push that in to secure it. Okay, so that's nice and snug. And if you look back here, you'll see, okay, well, you know, it's a little bit off to the side. So I'm gonna push those two buttons back here, and I am going to center it more. So now it is centered, okay? All right, so now that we've got that in there, we've got to come back over here to the booth. Move some of this out of the way. Okay, then the bag labeled AC adapter. We're going to pull out power cord, the AC adapter. There's a spare cord in here, but we're going to leave that in there. We're not going to utilize that. Now, on this AC adapter, you're going to notice this cord. I'm going to disconnect it for a second. You're going to see the single end here, female. That is going to plug into the male end of the AC adapter. And then you've got three male connectors. Now those three male connectors, if you come over here on this side, you will see these two connectors here. One connector is for the motor that's going to control the arm. The other connector is for these LED lights. So I'm gonna go ahead and snake this under. So we've got 3 connectors here that we can utilize, but we only need 2. So I'm gonna go ahead, plug that one in, and then plug that one in. That one will stay there, which leaves you with this. Now, we'll undo the tie on this AC adapter. Now typically, I like to keep the AC adapter underneath in here. It's less for somebody to trip over. Now once everything is run, you would put gaffer's tape down to protect the cords, protect people from tripping. But for this purpose, we're just gonna leave it out so that you can see everything. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that up. Okay, we're gonna plug power in to here and get it going over to the wall. Okay, you know it's up and running when these lights kick on the bottom of the booth. Now, as far as controlling the lights, you'll notice that it's doing its own little pattern. Here's the remote. So there is an on switch, there's an off switch, and there's an auto. You can change colors, you can change speed. What I usually do is I just choose auto. Let it cycle through all the different options that it has, but like I said, if you wanted to go blue, or if you wanted to do red, and then you can do that, and you can change the different options that it can have. So you can cycle through the different modes. That's what the M plus, M minus is the different modes. You can also change the speed. You can increase or decrease brightness as well. But again, like I said, I usually just do auto. Let it do its own thing. And you can keep that remote on you in case you need to turn it off or turn it back on at any given point. Okay. You don't need the screws. And the last thing that I do before anything else is to just test the arm. So I'm going to grab the remote that controls the arm itself before we do anything else with the booth. You can extend it out if you need to. You shouldn't have to. And I'll just step back to make sure that I'm not in the way of the booth, and then I'll just kick on power. Okay, this is at the slowest speed, but we can see that the arm is working. There is a reverse button. So if you don't like it going from left to right, you want it to go right to left, you can hit that reverse button, and now it'll do that. Now for every session after, it will continue to go in this direction unless you change it from the remote. And then you can hit that speed button several times, it'll speed it up. You can slow it down. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a second. And so you also want to make sure before you test that arm, when you set up, just walk around with the arm like this, just pushing it yourself. Make sure that there's nothing obstructing the arm. It's not going to hit the wall, it's not going to hit something else. Now, when you're setting it up, you will have stanchions to place around it to block people. You might even use an enclosed backdrop, like probably about this high, to put around it. Just depends on the client. Most of the time, we use the stanchions to kind of provide a blocked off, let's say, line, so people know where to line up to use the 360. So let's say people are lining up this way, then the stanchions will be right here. And then the end of the stanchion is the end of the safe zone. If they go past that, there's a risk that they may get hit if they're not paying attention. So you want to do that. There's also, depending on where we are, we might have a round red rug to put under the 360 and possibly even a rug where the stanchioned area is as well for people to stand, so they kind of know where to go. But after you've done your walkthrough and everything there looks good, then you can go ahead and finish completely setting up. If it looks like you've got some obstructions, find out if those obstructions can be moved, or if you need to move the 360 around so that you can avoid any of those obstructions.